Hello everyone, it's so good to see you after all this time. I hope you've been having lots of fun and learning lots too. It's been a bit of a strange time, hasn't it? And we haven't heard many good stories during this time. And things have just seemed really strange. We've not been able to see our friends, maybe go to school, go to the places we like to go. I like going out for dinner and coffee. I've not been able to do that. But one thing we've got to do is spend time with our families. Isn't that nice? I hope you've all enjoyed that, and I have. But this sort of reminded me of a story in the Bible. It's one particular one that maybe some of you might not know, but it definitely involves somebody that you do know, and that is King David. Remember David? He slung the stones, he was a shepherd boy. He was a king. He wrote wonderful psalms, and he was a man after God's own heart. Yeah, there you go. We find the story in 2 Samuel. You see, David, before he was king, had this friend called Jonathan, and they were the best of friends. They had a great friendship. And David had promised to look after Jonathan's family forever. But Jonathan died, and David couldn't find any of the rest of his family. And David was sad about this. But David was wrong. Jonathan had one son who was still alive, and his name was Mephibosheth. Can we all say that? I think it's quite fun to say. Mephibosheth. Great. And when David was told that he was still alive, he invited him to come to his palace. But the thing is, boys and girls, Mephibosheth had lived a sad life up until then. He couldn't walk. He was dropped whenever he was a child, and he couldn't walk. And he lived a very poor life compared to the life of his father Jonathan. But David, whenever he seen him, had so much love for him, and he gave him a seat at his table. And he gave him all the land of his father and his grandfather.
When Mephibosheth, son of Jonathan, the son of Saul, came to David, he bowed down to pay him honour. David said, "Mephibosheth." "At your service," he replied. "Don't be afraid," David said to him, "for I will surely show you kindness for the sake of your father Jonathan. I will restore to you all the land that belonged to your grandfather Saul, and you will always eat at my table."
That sounds pretty good, doesn't it, boys and girls? But we have to remember, it was all very good that David gave Mephibosheth all this stuff. He gave him the best food in the country, and he gave him protection. But the big thing that stands out here is the love that David had for him. Because of who Mephibosheth's father was, he was able to sit at the table with the king. And that sort of reminds me of something else in the Bible. It reminds me of the story of the Last Supper. Remember, whenever Jesus was sitting with his disciples, and he had just come to Jerusalem as king. It also reminds me of something else. When we become a Christian, God becomes our Father God. And because of this, we get to be at the table with the king. Well, who's the king? Jesus is the king. Jesus provides for us, and we get to live our lives with him. We get to spend time with him. We get to know him. Just like David was doing with Mephibosheth. Jesus has invited us to his table. And we're reminded of this on Sundays when we have communion, and in his promises in the Bible. And this reminds us of what Jesus has done and who God is, that he loves us so much, and we have fellowship with him. And that, boys and girls, is some good news. It's been really good to see you. I hope you have an amazing week. Bye bye.